It's terrible. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Quad Cities Business Beat. I have a full table today. This podcast is brought to you by Plexus Worldwide, sponsored by me with Plexus Worldwide. I'm an independent ambassador, and we focus on gut health. We sell probiotics and things to get you healthy from the inside out. One thing I want to talk about today is I am hosting with Plexus a talk on March 2nd up at the Third Shot Coffee House. Laura Solorzano is going to be speaking. She wrote a gratitude journal, Remarkable Now. So just find Laura Solorzano on Facebook, and you'll find the event.
Solorzano.
Solorzano.
Can you spell that, please?
Yes, Solorzano. I saw it in my head, and then
teleprompter. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, getting ready for the pageant in a couple weeks.
Yeah, dude. I'm sitting there. I'm just like, what are we doing? You're gonna do that?
No, I think I'm gonna go.
Oh
wait, it's this weekend. It's this Saturday.
This Saturday.
Anyway, this podcast is brought to you by me. I am with Plexus Worldwide. I just said that, but let's reiterate.
This is how you brainwash people.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Yeah.
Plexus.
Every time after every sentence.
I thought you had to use soap and a sponge to do that.
To brainwash.
Oh, now I got it. Sorry, that was too slow.
Anyway, around the table today, we have the San Martin local phenomenon with Prescott Night Out.
Boom.
We have Zach, my husband, extraordinaire.
Hello.
He always likes to come on here and just wreak havoc.
Yes.
And then we have Mr. Roy Stiles of Neptune's Paradise.
What's up,
What's up, Roy?
Howdy. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you.
Roy said that he hasn't been on something like this since pirate radio, and I started thinking about that. You know, one guy actually tried to go ahead and do this, and one of the local guys, basically says, "Hey, if you don't get away from my station, I'm going to sue you." Like he was like one station away. It was interrupting his. It was kind of funny. But anyways, going back on it.
Yeah, good story.
What's going on?
Those people that have radio stations, like ham operators,
They're serious people.
My business partner is one of those people.
Really?
Yeah.
They are serious.
They're like, stay
serious.
off it.
My business partner's not too bad, but they're a bunch of serious
ham radio people
that will all be communicating, controlling our world when everything ends.
Mm-hmm.
They will,
because they're the ones with the bunkers too. So
yeah,
exactly.
They're
so make at least one of them your friends, folks.
Yeah, they're ready.
They will
for
protect
this.
you.
I'm gonna look for these people.
Okay, well, let's get started.
Let's do it.
Roy, introduce yourself. How long have you been in business? Tell us all a little bit of the details.
Well, I'm Roy, obviously. I've been in business here we started out in Chino Valley out of my garage because the HOA did not approve that.
Why not?
We started around April of 2016, basically because we saw a gap in the market. There was really no stores out here other than the big box. And we sort of were like, you know what, here's a gap. Let's get this started. Got with a business, another aquarium keeper who, he and his friends would like get together once a month and just carpool down to Phoenix because that's where the closest stores were other than Flagstaff. And that store actually closed last year. And we started off, and then I've been in the business off and on for about 10 years. I've done almost everything in the aquatic life business. And then I am from Long Beach, California, for all the
Supermax.
Long Beach,
all the California haters out there.
I know.
the big city of dreams.
Oh,
Wait.
yeah. Oh,
Is that how he says it, Snoop Dogg?
Something like that. Yeah.
We could go into that song, but we won't.
And then I actually moved out here with my wife and my 2-week-old in 2015.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So how do you like Arizona living versus California dreaming?
It's a lot slower out here.
A little bit.
That's it. Yeah,
When I get a little sad,
stuff down.
I just go down to Phoenix and remember why I'm out here.
Yes.
Amen.
Yeah, and that's cool that you could just like hop over to that lifestyle real quick and then say, no, I like this slow style. I like driving slow. I really
Exactly.
do. Like, it's really like mellow. I mean, I like making things happen, but I just don't like things to progress too fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can drive in the left lane with my left blinker on, and no one's going to get mad at me.
That's right.
Well, it's because half the other people are doing it themselves, so they think you're going to the same place. But I got to go back to something. So the HOA in Chino won't allow you to have fish in your garage, but you can have a horse in your front yard.
And
No.
chickens.
Not where I was. I wasn't. Technically, you can't run a business. It was in the bylaws. You can't run a business out of your house.
Period.
Oh yeah, you have to be what do you call it? Categorized as the neighborhood as like an industry or work, something like that.
Zoning.
Zoning. There we go. That's the
Yeah.
right words. I'm gonna find these.
So
words.
is the business that they're anti-business, not anti-fish.
Yeah.
They're anti-business, not anti-fish.
anti-fish?
So, what is your background? So, you said you came from Long Beach. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into aquariums, ponds, all that good stuff?
Well, I want to say around 10 or 11 years old, my dad took me to the local pet store, and he was like, "Hey, for your birthday, we're either going to get you this bird," and we walked in, and the shop owner showed me all these things that this little parrot thing could do. And then I was like, "Oh, that's super cool." And then he took me to the back of the shop where all the aquariums were, and then he looked at that, and I was like, "Yep, well, we're going with aquariums." And
Good choice.
I remember later on in life, he was like, "Man, I should have just got you a bird." Because with a bird, it's one bird.
Right, with the
We
fish.
ended up,
Not quite.
we got a 75-gallon reef tank, and then he got an 18-gallon reef tank, and then he got another tank, and then after that, he built a koi pond in his yard, and he was like, "We really should have just bought you a bird. Like, this is a slippery slope."
I don't know, man. My sister had this bird, and it was just the most annoyingest thing, man. It would just go off and off and off. It was bad.
No
So,
birds in our family.
No.
Not gonna do
So
it.
what Roy is saying is, folks, goldfish are the gateway pet
Yes.
to
Yes,
aquariums.
They are.
At least you had a choice.
slope.
It's a slippery slope.
We bought Goldie. We got Goldie for free at the state fair, and next thing I knew, I had a 100-gallon tank with.
Well, we know
puffer
from
fish.
experience that's how my niece has. She got 2 free fish at the fair, and then it turned into a huge aquarium with the same fish, but it had all kinds of equipment. The free fish turned into a $150 investment.
Yeah, so what some of the fish that you have up there are very is they exotic, I guess you would say. But the way to go ahead and take care of these things is really you're basically taking the sea and bringing it into your house. So
that's a
I mean,
good
talk
example.
about that. I mean, how do you how do you make that happen with the stuff that you have?
Well, I'd say when I got into it, it was a lot harder.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, the technology. My buddy keeps telling me to stop saying
Well, it kind of is technology. You have to know your fish, and you have to know exactly the temperature of the water, the salt intake of it. I mean,
Yeah,
It's a big deal.
But and it's one of the biggest misconceptions of these days about keeping an aquarium is it's a lot easier than it used to be. There's there's a lot more people involved, and it's almost turned into like a community thing where you have people that are setting up tanks just to see if they could do something.
Oh.
And it's led to a lot of like advances in the industry. These days you can get an entire aquarium that you don't even have to touch. It
That
can
is
be
awesome.
Completely
That's
automated.
the kind we need.
you know, I just thought about this tagline for your business, man. You can't take the California out of me or something to that effect. I could bring the California to you. You leave California, I'll bring California to you. So you guys have a piece of home
Exactly.
That's right.
without the chaos. Right?
A little piece of the ocean in your home.
There we go.
I was going to go with helping you bring home the beach.
Hashtag,
I gotta start writing these things down.
yeah,
man.
hashtag bringing home the beach.
Here, you want
Yeah.
to take notes? We're all day long.
Oh
man.
yeah, this whole
I'll
thing
let
they'll
you have
just
that
give you
one.
all kinds of
We're
information.
gonna
That's our sole purpose here is coming up with taglines.
Yes, yes.
Hashtags.
Yeah, kale, yeah. That's,
Kale, yeah.
that's one of
Kale,
our
yeah.
biggest ones. One of our friends likes to make food, and her favorite
ingredient.
I guess, is kale. So she wants to make a shirt that says "Kale, yeah."
Yeah.
Which, it's kind of cool. I mean, it is. I mean, I thought it was cool. Every time I see her, I was like, "Hey, we just dropped your one-liner on," and she's like, "Oh, you guys are so awesome." I'll see her tonight. I'm going to say the same thing. Well, tomorrow night I will.
Tomorrow night. Okay, so where are you located? So because you were out of your garage, so now you're actually at a formal location. So
Yes.
can anybody just come in and get a goldfish or the small setup? I mean, I saw you on your website. You have beta, so you're actually doing it right. The beta is probably the smallest little aqualife. Is that what it's called? Aqualife.
Aquarium.
Can like just a
Fish.
little kid come in and buy fish? Is it just are you set up just like you would at one of the big box stores?
Oh yeah,
Okay, cool.
we're a full line aquarium store. We offer everything you could want, and I like to take it. Well, I guess that's not the right way to say it, but I like to take all the guesswork out of it, because it can get overwhelming. And so if you come in, we're totally okay with you picking our brain,
Okay.
asking all the questions that you want, so that when you get home you don't have any questions.
Right.
And we also can set it up and service it for you, which is always nice.
Mm-hmm.
Take all the guesswork out of that for you.
That's customer service, folks.
Yes, it is. Most definitely.
What?
And you
What
can-
is that?
You can set up the whole household too, right? I mean,
Oh yeah, your whole house.
You come in and then you be like, here, you want the tank right there. You want this type of fish. I mean, do you also maintenance this stuff too?
We do offer maintenance, yes. For those people that just they want that piece of the ocean or the piece of the lake in their house, but they just don't want all the fuss, we'll take care of it for you.
Oh, that's
Dude,
awesome.
that's awesome. I'm so happy with this idea of like, man, I want to have a piece of the ocean. I want a piece of this ocean now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seriously, I'm like, now I'm involved.
Well, I like the idea that, a 5-year-old can come in and get a goldfish all the way up to, a massive maintained aquarium in someone's home, which obviously will also get into ponds because you do ponds as well.
I do.
And on your brochure, and actually when I was on the website, you travel around not just Yavapai County, but you travel up to Flagstaff.
Yeah.
Are you just limited to Coconino and Yavapai, or are you Northern Arizona in general?
We
Have fish will travel.
pretty much. We're not limited to Yavapai and Coconino counties. That's just
Kind of where you're at
where
right now.
our business is
Okay.
right now, because there's really nothing north of Phoenix other than the big
that's
box
crazy.
stores.
And why is it better to buy from you? Not just simply because it's local, but obviously you maintain your fish probably more on a regular basis and, that kind of thing. You probably have more exotic.
Well, I come from the hobbyist side.
Mm-hmm.
I kept aquariums and grew coral for a long time before I actually jumped, head feet first into this. And so one of the biggest issues that you come from when you go to an aquarium store or the big box or any of the stores out there is the rule is when you buy the fish, you take it home, you should quarantine it before you put it in your main system, because you don't generally you don't know when that fish came into the store.
Sure.
You don't know what they have done, and it's especially when you buy fish online. Because it could have arrived at that, the wholesaler that drop ships for some of the online people the day before, or the night before, and so this fish could be super stressed and have diseases and stuff. And what we like to do here at Neptune's Paradise is, when we get a fish in, it immediately goes into quarantine, so that you don't have to do that. You don't have to have a separate aquarium set up just for this new fish, and so we bring it in, we quarantine it, we put it through a pretty rigid medication and quarantine process. So when you're buying the fish from us, it's fat, eating, healthy, and disease-free.
Nice.
And that's just because there's nothing worse than putting a fish in your aquarium. And San Martin plays a video on his phone.
Sorry. Dude, there's always one Polly here.
Played a video of us
Us.
Sorry.
from the same conversation.
Okay, so what happened was I interrupted.
What
Go ahead.
happened was
Sorry about that, guys.
So really, you're getting a good, healthy fish when people come to see you, and that's great because nothing's worse than getting a fish. I haven't had a fish in how old am I? 42. I don't know, 30 some years. But they didn't have all this kind of stuff that people have available. But nothing's worse than getting a fish and wherever you get it from, the fair, and then it dies, and then you hear you've invested all this equipment,
and not just like dying, like
or just sick.
you can have a reef tank that's got thousands of dollars of fish and coral, and the same thing with like a planted tank. You can have a lot of money invested into a tank, and you put a new fish in there, and it wipes out the whole tank because of disease or parasites and stuff. And then you're like, you know what? This is going straight in the trash. I'm tossing this tank out because
Right, and then you're frustrated because you've invested all this money.
exactly. And it's buying a better product is going to give you a better experience, and that's kind of what we're aiming for, is bringing the best of the best. You come into my store and you say I want that fish, I'll tell you, like, I'm not going to sell you that fish because I haven't seen it eat in 2 days, and I don't want you,
Right.
Don't invest in something that might just pass away or die or do
exactly
something wrong.
Right.
Yeah,
So go to the honest professional.
Yeah, most definitely.
Knows
But
what they're doing.
he lives here.
Yeah, he lives here, and
Yeah,
it's his
that's the
main
best part.
focus of business is fish, not just floating around from department to department. Oh,
Out of his
We've all
trunk.
been there.
Hey man, you want a fish?
Don't buy those fish out of those trunks, people. So tell me, what's the least expensive and the
Yeah.
most expensive setup that you have, and also fish too. Like, what is the least expensive and the most expensive fish that you have in your tanks?
oh man, right now I'd say the least expensive are going to be the mollies.
Is this fresh or salt?
A molly is a brackish fish.
Brackish.
Which means that it's a fish that its natural environment is in an area where the rivers and the lakes meet up with the ocean, and so it's half salt, half fresh.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
Mollies, along with other brackish fish, most of them can go either fresh, brackish, or salt.
Does it have to be one extreme, or do they have to have both?
It
Doesn't matter.
doesn't really matter now. There are some brackish fish that have to be in brackish water, and a lot of saltwater fish start out in brackish, and then
They
migrate.
evolve.
As they get older, they have to go to the ocean.
How much does a molly cost?
That's a subject for a totally different.
Come on, guys. I'm actually asking some serious questions here. I didn't want to even go that route.
You know,
And all of a sudden,
it kind of depends on which mollies we have in stock.
Okay.
Because they kind of breed like rabbits, and so some of them I have that are just like way out of control, and it's sort of like, make me an offer, get it out of my tank. And some of them are like higher end mollies that are sort of like bred to be this, and there'll be a little bit more money. But freshwater is, well, the most expensive fish in the world is freshwater, and the cheapest fish is freshwater.
Oh,
wow. What is the most expensive fresh fish water fish? Say that 3 times.
Off the top of my head, it's either going to be probably like a chili arowana. That's like a Grand Master. They're in the 200,000s, and then koi. You
Koi.
get like Grand Master win champion line koi. You can spend 6-7 figures.
really?
Wow.
Yeah.
I heard one time.
I didn't know there was a grand line of
There was-
koi.
there was this developer out there at the Dells, and they actually had a pond out there, and they basically filled it up with koi, and it was like huge. But the city or something, I'm not going to put names down there so nobody get mad. I don't know who it was, guys. No one in the city, but it was they filled the pond up and they didn't take the fish out.
What?
And these fish were like huge.
Koi
fish
koi
were
get
huge.
By the way, koi and goldfish are the same thing. Koi is just a fancy line-bred goldfish.
But they're the most expensive. That's so
Gold,
awesome.
goldfish with papers.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You'd be like, I got these papers. That's more money now.
My house. So
That is
in
the
your
truth,
in your
right?
shop, then, like, you know, one of the smallest, say like a beta. So what does a beta run?
Well, I try to bring in really higher end, well, not higher end betas, but
You want quality?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so my betas run around 22 to 30.
Okay.
And that's generally because when I buy the betas, I'll generally go out to California to my wholesalers and hand pick them.
Oh, okay.
Or one of my sales reps in Florida, she kind of understands like what I'm looking for, and so she goes out into the wholesale area and hand picks my betas and tags them
Oh, awesome.
so that I'm getting
Again, quality.
the best of the best.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So if you're talking about a beta setup, are we looking $75 for the whole thing? $7,500 with the glass, with the, I don't know what's called inside, but
Yes, we're
The
trying.
setup.
One of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to get away from the beta bowl,
oh, okay.
because generally with like the beta bowls, you need to change the water every day.
And what parent of a
Oh, is it
5-year-old
every
has
day?
time?
Generally,
I'm like, man, there's people in there that be like, oh yeah, I've had this beta for like a month, and I was like, have you changed the water?
It's
Like,
a little foggy.
"Mm." They like that.
it's not necessary, but it's for the health of the fish. It's
Okay.
the best thing to do. And
So it's
what-
really not the most time. It's pretty time consuming to have a beta if you really want to do a beta properly.
Well, to do a beta properly, and we're actually we're going to be setting up a system in our store that's
Okay.
going to be for sale. We're just waiting for that perfect beta to come in for this for the setup, and it'll probably be a 6-gallon or a 10-gallon aquarium, and we're going to have plants in there and sort of make it really nice. And that'll probably be in the $300 or $400 range,
Okay.
and that's just because it'll have filtration. It'll be its own little like the plants will consume the nitrates and the phosphates and stuff like that to keep the tank even cleaner and better looking, and it'll be this nice little piece of paradise on your desk.
Cool.
So what is the most expensive fish that you have? Did we figure that one out?
No, at your shop.
Yeah, at your
What
shop.
What's the most expensive fish you have at your shop, roughly?
Right now, the most expensive fish is probably $50.
Oh, that's not terrible.
But on Friday, we have a gem tang coming in for a customer that is $2,000.
the tank.
What's a gem tank?
A gem tang?
Oh, gem tang. I thought you
yeah.
said gem tank.
A tang
It's
is
got-
a type of saltwater fish, and apparently he was a good boy this year, and his significant other is buying him a $2,000 fish.
Oh.
He's like, this is what I want for Valentine's Day. So you get that out there, ladies. Ben
Yeah.
one fish.
See, we've been talking about flowers. Get a fish.
Get
Exactly.
a fish. Get a fish, man.
Get one that's low maintenance.
Did you guys read his shirt? Life
I know, I
short
did.
by the
Yeah, life
fish.
short.
Life
by
is
the
short
fish.
by the fish.
See, he already has his taglines going on.
Well, if we're going into buying fish, is it possible to get like piranhas?
No.
I had a science teacher that
No.
had a tank of piranhas in high school, and it was
did?
cool. Yeah, he had red belly
It
piranhas.
is illegal in Arizona.
But,
to know
I'm just
the
asking. I was
professional-
in New Mexico at the time. There's a lot of things that happened in New
Probably
Mexico.
legal
that
there
people-
too, man.
A lot of things in New
That
Mexico
was also like
stays in New
20 years
Mexico.
ago. So.
I've seen some pretty my sister, once again, my sister that had the crazy bird had a crazy fish that liked to eat fish. I was like, what are you guys doing? They're like, oh, we're feeding them fish. I'm like, What? And it was a big fish. And also, whenever they wanted to clean out the tank, this fish would like literally just, well, no, actually, sorry. The other partner of the big fish would just jump out of the freaking, the thing, man. He's just like, hey, fall on the ground.
Really?
Yeah, it was so weird. I don't know why he did that. I think he just hated his life.
Oh my gosh.
He hated his tank. But it was a big
I've
tank.
had enough of this. I'm out.
Yeah, but he would do it every time, and then he finally, like after like the 5th time of jumping out of there, from what I heard, died.
Maybe he knew what he was doing, you know?
Yeah, he's like, I'm supposed to be a walker, not a swimmer.
Not a swimmer. Okay, so let's talk about koi ponds or ponds in general. I guess I always think here we are in northern Arizona. We do get cold weather and people have ponds, and obviously they have their pumps and all that kind of stuff. It's okay to have fish during the winter? I know, maybe that's a dumb question, but
So koi,
do they cover them? Do they?
Yeah, my neighbors had a pond outside. They just cover them over the winter.
So koi are an interesting fish in the sense that in the wintertime, and it's actually right now, we do have a lot of ponds, but we're not servicing them right now because during the wintertime you winterize your pond. Oh. Which we will do for you. And then come springtime, so in a couple of weeks we're going to start picking up the ponds again and bringing them back. But what the koi do is the koi will actually, when the temperature drops to a certain level, they go into hibernation. And they sort of just float around and don't do much.
Really?
It doesn't really get cold enough here to have to take extra measures like putting in a surface heater just to break up the in case your pond like
Freezes.
completely ices over. There's no air exchange.
Right.
And even though they're hibernating, they still need to breathe.
Right.
And so I have not run into a pond that's completely iced over yet.
Okay.
And if that happens, you just put a surface heater.
Oh, melt that ice and then they can.
Kind of like what you would put in like a horse trough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my neighbors, they had a little goldfish pond, and they basically just covered it with plastic over the time, and then the wire mesh so the cats or dogs or whatever couldn't get into it. And then, they survived all winter long here.
So do you work with landscapers too, or do you?
I do, because that's
Not everybody does ponds.
Yes, because one of the things that we ran into, and I don't want to trash on landscapers, but one of the things that we run into with the ponds that were built before we arrived here were they're underfiltered or have a lack of filtration. And I've worked with a couple landscapers now, and we'd love to bring some more landscapers to where I'll come in and I'll design the pond. I'll sort of sell them all the parts and equipment that they need, and then they build it with our help, just so when the pond is done, we can put the fish in it. It's built properly. It has the proper filtration. You're not going to run into issues, because algae is a booger without the proper filtration, without the without not having everything that you would need in a pond, like a lot of plants and stuff like that. The algae will take over, and then you got a green pond.
Right. And basically, just because you have a waterfall doesn't mean you can just throw fish in it. You really do need to have the professional come and make sure your pond is appropriate.
Well, I think it just goes to, landscapers are good at, I'm guessing going and planting the right plants and putting rocks in and laying pavers is not your forte,
Yeah.
Have them do that. Have them work together.
Exactly.
You bring in who's needed to get the job done correctly, because in the long
bottom
run, it's going to
feeders.
save. It's going to save money.
Oh yeah, that's
The bottom feeders, man, in the fish tanks. Remember, they used to sell, well, you need this fish, and if you don't get that fish, you need this fish. And it was that little sucker fish.
Yeah, Plecostomus.
Yeah, it just goes around and just eats all that stuff.
So are koi the only ones that can be in these ponds?
No.
I had no idea.
We, when it gets hotter, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll throw mosquito fish into the pond,
Okay.
because they'll eat up all the mosquito larvae.
That's what they need around here in the lakes. Just saying.
Well, and I think in some cases they probably I don't know. It's kind of weird how people think around fishes and stuff. I think about population, how it will affect the rest of the fish if you put this fish in and you put that fish in.
Exactly. And koi are a carp, so they're going to eat anything and everything.
Okay. That's why they get so big and
Yeah.
okay.
But you can put a lot of stuff in your pond, most of which have to be pulled out during wintertime.
Okay.
Just because it's warm enough during the summer and spring and fall, but come wintertime, some of the fish that you could put in your pond, like Oscars, don't ever buy an Oscar because they get massive.
Dorian, yeah, my nephew had an Oscar.
Maybe that's what that fish was. It liked to eat other fish.
Oscars are a cichlid, and they can be aggressive, and they are also like little puppy dogs. They eat everything.
Like, here, come here, little buddy.
They see it, they want it, they eat it.
So, what is some of the misconceptions about aquariums and ponds that you typically people come in and they say, well, what about this? Like, what is a misconception of, like I said, aquariums for your house as well as ponds?
So with aquariums, and I run into this a lot, is a lot of people think that saltwater tanks are exponentially harder than freshwater, and they're not. They're honestly the only difference between a basic freshwater tank and a basic saltwater tank is one has salt in it. They're the same parameters, the same stuff. There's like a couple pieces of equipment that just don't work in freshwater, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need them in some of the saltwater tanks. But like that's a huge thing that I run into a lot, and I try to explain to people like, listen, saltwater tanks nowadays are just as easy as freshwater. The only thing is that salt doesn't evaporate, so you have to top it off with fresh water when the water level starts dropping. And you have basic fresh and saltwater tanks, and then you go up to like a tank that has very easy plants, and then you have a saltwater tank that has very easy corals. And that they almost line up all the way up to like a full-blown planted tank with reactors and fertilizers going in, and that lines up just with the same amount of care as a full-blown reef tank. They're really that's the misconception I run into a lot, is that tanks are hard. They're not hard.
Well, and you can get them as maintenance free as you want.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Well, you also like you do coral up. I don't know how you set the coral up, but I when I was in there in your place, there was a coral section that you're just, I don't know what you're doing with it, to be honest. Can you explain a little bit about that? So how do you coralize your coral?
So one of my jams and thing that I geek out on is growing coral.
Oh, I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Yes, I didn't know how to ask
when you
about
come into my store, I'll probably take way too much of your time talking about coral, because what we do is you'll get a coral that's pulled out of the wild, and then it'll be a nice big colony. And then what you can do is you can break that apart, and you glue it onto little ceramic discs, and you put it in a frag tank, or you can put it in your regular reef tank, and it'll grow into another colony. And so that's like the center of our store is a coral tank, and that's where we're growing out corals. And it makes it cheaper and it makes it easier because you can buy a $10 piece of coral, but when it's a full colony, it might be $200. And when you're buying full colonies, putting them in a reef tank, it sort of limits what you can do because you're putting all these big pieces. Whereas you put like a small piece of coral frag into your tank, you can sort of plan it out, and then it'll grow into a piece. And it grows into your tank, and it's kind of cool. And just as a sidebar, one of the things that they've discovered with fragging corals is that, and it comes back to like a lot of the corals dying because of like the acidification of the, I don't even know if that's a word. It sounded fancy.
Dude, I'm in.
I'm like loving this coral stuff.
I'm like, I'll make up my own words too.
Yeah.
All the time.
We're going to add that if it's not a real word.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put it on a shirt.
Is that the coral is not growing very fast, or like being able to compensate for the changes that the ocean is going through. But when they're pulling coral out, fragmenting it or fragging it down and then putting it back into the wild, that like there's a couple companies out there that are doing that. They've discovered that the coral that is being fragged and grown in contained systems and then putting back into the wild are actually more tolerant and are growing and actually grow like twice as fast as the wild, like the corals that are still in the wild. So that's kind of like the hobby's way of like giving back and like saving the planet, because granted we still are taking corals off, but a lot of people don't like buying colonies because that's one piece of coral that came off instead of like 100 pieces. They can go to 100 people.
I had no idea.
And
Yeah, it's a crazy world out there.
Well, and I think honestly, if you're going to do an aquarium, do it right. Go see Roy.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. That's what it comes down to.
Don't just buy the ceramic reef and stuff at some other places. Like, actually build an aquarium with everything's growing, you know?
Yeah, you could go ahead and, like, once again, bring the ocean to you.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm really into this. I watch a lot of documentaries, and one of them was about the coral reef, and that was kind of like one of the like huge deals where the coral reef is dying in most cases. But to go ahead and hear about something that where you could go ahead and reproduce it, it's awesome. You know, I just want to see how the future stands with that. You know, to make sure that it's like the right reef that is supposed to do with the right, you know, what's actually out there in the ocean. I mean, it's one of those big deals, man. Big deals. If you can't take care of your world, then, things are going to start dying. So it's good to see that, people are actually working towards the better of, other living things. Buy the fish, guys. Put them in your home.
So how can we get in touch with you? You just moved. You're at the mall. So you just moved to, where's your new location in the mall?
So we're at Suite 284. Don't look at the directory, because the directory is going to take you to our old location by Dillard's.
Okay.
We are actually now near the center of the mall, between Bath and Body Works and Dairy Queen. So you can smell good, get fat, and then
And
buy
buy a
some
fish.
fish.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
There we go.
Absolutely.
That's how life is over there. I know that they're filling up all of their places up there, so the mall's getting revamped in a way that nobody's ever seen before.
The mall is like, since with the new owner, it is amazing. There's
Oh, that's good to hear. I
love
love our mall. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's coming back. It's as a business owner, it is the cheapest you're gonna find in the Quad Cities right now.
Yeah,
Heard that here.
in a good location too. I mean, in all reality, when you say the mall, that's just a good gathering of just good places to go ahead and shop,
It is.
eat, and just hang out.
There's
Good things.
a lot. Even though like you may go in there now and some of the places look vacant, most of them are leased out now.
It's just people haven't moved in yet.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love to hear that.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things happening, and I believe that it's going to keep on happening, especially here in the Quad City areas, and that's the whole reason for this podcast, is to go ahead and introduce people like you, introduce people like many of the businesses that have stepped through this door, and everybody gets to know them. So whether they're watching it on this or being able to come up and see you, I think that you have a great thing to offer all these California transplants. I mean, come on, if you guys don't really want to be in your own home state, bring a little bit of the home state with you.
Exactly.
To this
And you don't have to go down to
drive.
Phoenix to buy your aquarium needs. We have a local shop here in town. I think you're the only local shop, right?
And you,
Locally owned shop?
We are the only locally owned store north of Phoenix.
North of Phoenix.
And
so if you're in Flagstaff, Sedona, wherever, Cottonwood, if you're listening to this, come down to Prescott Gateway Mall and go see Roy at Neptune's Paradise.
yeah, that is awesome. I can't wait to go up there again.
But
I'll
you're
see
on
the new
Facebook
place.
too.
We are on Facebook at Neptune's Paradise. We're also on Instagram.
I'll have to follow you. And you also have a webpage, neptunesparadise.com.
We do have a web page. It sort of was put on the sideline for right now, since we moved into a bigger location.
That's exciting.
We're building up stuff, trying to bring the best of the best and make the store not look like it's crazy.
Right. Well, I think it's great. But in all honesty, if you're doing an aquarium or a pond, it is an investment. And you really do want to buy quality things. You don't want to be constantly buying something and having it die or whatever. I mean, start with better first.
Yeah.
And that's something that like I as a hobbyist have learned is, and there's a saying that we have, buy as big as your wallet can afford. Mm-hmm. Because you're either going to buy it now or you're going to buy it later.
Right.
And when you go cheap, I use the analogy for a lot of people. Like when you go out and you buy a cheap return pump, it might work. It might work for a little bit, but you're going to end up buying the more expensive pump in the long run. So instead of buying 2 pumps, just buy the better one.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you straight up when you come into my store, like, you know what? This pump is $400. This pump is $100. $250 of this is the name. I'd love to sell it to you. This pump's going to do just as well.
That's good. Honesty.
But I'm also going to tell you, like, you can go this cheap route on some things, and you're going to spend most of your days trying to keep your tank running correctly.
But that's where you come in.
Mm-hmm.
You're there to go ahead and maintenance that. You're there to go ahead and make sure that everything's rolling smoothly. And that's the best part about having you here locally in Prescott, Arizona.
Absolutely. So the big question that I always ask people, what is something we don't know about your business?
Oh, man.
And how can we help you? We ask that too. How can we help you as this podcast?
Besides the brilliant taglines you've already walked away with from today.
I know. Thank God I don't have to pay royalty or something.
Right? You lucked out today.
Honestly, the best way that our business can be helped is just spreading the word, telling your friends, just letting people know that we are here, and also come to the mall.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of cool things happening up there.
The mall is not dead.
Well, I have to tell you, growing up where I grew up, our mall looked nothing like this mall. This mall is beautiful.
Yeah, the whole design of it is
amazing. It's really pretty.
I like it.
We need it filled.
We will
For sure.
make it filled.
We will make it filled.
I have one more fish question, which is, so
Fishy,
if I
fishy.
wanted a piranha-like
God,
tank.
we have a 3.5-year-old. We do not need a piranha.
That is why we need.
That's why
So-
we need it, just
so-
in case.
I want something I can feed, like feed.
Well, we're not getting a snake or anything like that.
I don't need a snake. That's why I'm asking about a piranha-like fish, since he just told me I can't legally have one.
And he held the
Or
quote
2.
up, guys.
Roy did not have the quotes as illegal. He made it very clear it
Yeah,
was
it's
illegal in the state of
illegal.
Arizona. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, fishing game. Don't come see me. Just kidding. But
Here we go.
Welcome to the table.
Roy's not bringing me fish.
No.
so, and I was going to mention this
Where's the
earlier.
black market dealer of fish, man? Just kidding. That was a lie.
There is a fish out there that is, to the best of my knowledge, legal, and it's called a vampire tetra.
Oh, jeez.
And
He likes
better.
that name. It just
It's even
doesn't-
better.
they have these really massive teeth, really sharp teeth, and they look kind of cool. The teeth like oddly go into their head.
Okay.
And
I think I saw that on like River Monsters or something.
Yeah. I think it was on the cover of their thing.
there is a cool. It is a cool fish. We don't have any in stock right now, but we can get them. We can get anything and everything that is legal in the state of Arizona.
Good disclaimer, Roy.
Disclaimer, guys. There is
and-
legal and illegal fish that are not allowed
Yes.
to be here. How do you say build those walls in ocean language? build those traps.
Well, I have to say this has been very informative because I really am not familiar with aqua life or ponds or any of that stuff. So you shared some really great information. I appreciate you coming on the show.
I think that needs
You guys
to
have any?
be your next tattoo, Roy, is Aqua Life, like
Aqua
an old
Life.
English across your stomach.
I wish I could.
Go with that Long Beach,
Aqua Life.
soul.
If my stomach wasn't covered already, then I would.
The Aqua Life.
Maybe
Aqua
you could
Life.
do your neck, then,
Yeah, right.
Aqua
Oh,
Life,
God.
Oh, don't do it.
I like my mother.
That's so funny.
Any other questions you guys have?
I can't wait to go up to see the new building.
No, I'm excited. We'll take Harlan up.
Yeah, there's a new. There's a few things that were listed on my live, so we'll talk with you about that after the whole little deal. But
Any questions you guys have? No.
No, he answered
No, he answered
my
Viper.
I want illegal fish.
No,
Basically.
legal.
Yeah.
they're
You are
illegal
legal.
in the state of Arizona. So, okay, tell us again where you're at. You're at the mall. You're in between Bath and Body Works and Dairy
Build
Queen.
those dams.
Yes.
Okay, you're open regular mall hours.
So that's
does
one
that
of the
work?
things that I wanted to say is we are closed on Mondays and Tuesdays,
Okay.
and that's because that's our service days.
Okay.
And then on Wednesdays we open at 12 o'clock and we
Okay.
close at 7.
Okay.
And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday we are open 10 to 7, and Sundays 12 to 6. That being said, we are still building. Like this Friday, I'm going down to Phoenix to the airport to pick up another shipment. And so if you come to the mall and we're not there, or the door is closed, the best thing to do is give me a phone call, because
Okay.
I have friends and I have helpers that are in the area.
Don't think he's at home, just chilling out watching TV. He's on the road,
He's out fishing, guys.
literally. He's out catching fish.
You know,
So-
He's out getting my vampire Tetris.
And just remember, he does travel, so he does maintenance on tanks all
Yeah.
over northern Arizona. So
and it says 24/7 emergency response.
wow,
Mm-hmm.
fish 911.
Exactly. And
Clear.
Fish doctor 911. Fish rescue.
if you have any questions or you need to get a hold of us, my cell phone is on the front of the store.
Which
it's
is?
on our Facebook. It's the 562-450-8169. That is my cell phone. I try to answer as much as possible.
Sometimes you'll go to voicemail, people. It's okay.
Yeah. I'm driving a lot, so if I don't answer, it's because I don't want the cops to
be-
pull me
Because it is
over.
illegal in
Yes.
It's
Yavapai
illegal.
County. It is illegal.
Roy's on the legal tip today, man. He's like, I don't do nothing illegal. I was like, that's
listening
illegal
to
right there, man. That's legal.
guy here.
That's straight guilty right there, man.
Just give us a holler, because
Yeah, if you have questions, how do I start a tank? Like, I mean,
we
go see them, pick their brain. They said they're not annoyed with that.
I'm
so
more than happy to answer all of your questions.
They are all things fish.
Yeah.
I could geek out on it all day long.
Somebody actually said you should probably do a vlog on how to maintenance fish. So there's a good idea for you,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's free too. Today is one of those days, man. We're gonna have to have a required.
Some days you're on,
statement
some days
saying-
you're not.
Hey,
I'm just saying.
All good ideas. Just because they don't go anywhere doesn't make them not a good idea.
That's right.
Just saying.
Yeah, this is the fish life,
Fish life.
aquarium life.
There you go. Thank you so much, Roy, for coming in.
Yeah,
We
thanks for having
appreciate
me.
it. Oh my gosh.
Fish life.
Signing off from the Quad Cities Business Beat. This will be uploaded sometime this weekend.
Yep.
You know.
On the series of podcasts. Don't forget to go ahead and follow us on Prescott E-News. Don't forget to like the page, Plexus Worldwide,
Yep,
Prescott Night
Central
Out in the
Plexus.
house. And don't
Like
forget
us,
to go ahead and
poke
go
us,
to
pinch us.
Yes.
go to Neptune's.
Neptune's Paradise.
Neptune's
on
Paradise
Facebook.
and
Like their
them,
page.
and you can actually go
And they do
and
have
visit them.
videos and stuff on there. So it's
We will
Got
be
good stuff
upping
on
our
there.
Facebook game. I've sort of been lacking.
well, you
on
kind of
it.
been busy. You know,
News-
moving a store is kinda,
Newsletter is going to have all the podcasts. So be sure to go ahead and follow that and watch. And thank you for tuning in.
Thank you. We'll talk to
Have a
you next
good one.
week. Bye.